If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu. Plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome in. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeff Parles. He is Elder McCormick on my right.
Yeah.
Or Bruce Wayne, whatever. Yeah, Ryan
I got the book
McCormick.
down
But
here.
yes, it's we're thrilled to be with you.
Let me talk to you about John Smith, please.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right,
It's okay.
all right.
Sorry about that. We left Frank's pumpkin on the deck, on the desk, or deck, whatever, same difference. It's Halloween. We hope you're enjoying yourself out there. Be safe if you happen to be. I was going to say trick or treating, but hopefully none of our audience is trick or treating.
Unless you got a little one.
Yeah, well,
Because I will be.
No, well, that's a little different. I'm saying for themselves there
Gotcha,
more than
gotcha.
anything, Ryan.
Yep.
I know you'll be out there a little bit later, but who knows what this football game tonight will bring? And it could be a lot of tricks, a lot of treats, a lot of nothingness. Who knows? As we might as well just dive right in here to kick off the last week of the first half of the NFL season. Week 9 kicks off with the New York Jets hosting the Houston Texans. New York is playing their second Thursday night game of the year, and they had them front-loaded before Halloween and earlier. That's also the last time the Jets won a game, was Week 3 on Thursday night, and they beat New England 24-3 that night. And if not won since, they're 2-6. It has been an absolute disaster for New York. On the Texans side of things, 6-2, Ryan, but you can see the cracks in the armor for the Houston Texans, and they're dealing with a whole bunch of injuries as they've been dealing with for the better portion of about 5 weeks now.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to look into the witches brew, the Thursday night might be good for the Jets winning this one. And then, losing Stephon Diggs and not having Nico Collins could be pretty big for the Texans in this one.
So just going through the injuries here tonight, and we'll just start on the Houston side. You mentioned the two big ones, where Nico Collins has been on IR for a month now, could technically return next week, but not certain if he's close or not. Stephon Diggs, season-ending ACL tear, done. Never a good time to tear your ACL. Diggs going into a contract year makes his offseason even more complex now. Aging wide receiver, significant knee injury. Not good for Diggs. No Jimmy Ward. No Jared Patterson on an offensive line. And no Aziz Ashahir, which is a big deal because he's their best linebacker. So he's out again. Yeah. But Kamari Lassiter returns. Henry Tuatui returns as well at the linebacker position after missing last week. But most importantly for Houston, Still got those two monster pass rushers on the outside. Will Anderson Jr., who is just picked up from his awesome finish to his rookie year and his 7.5 sacks already. And the big offseason addition, they replaced Jonathan Grenard with Danielle Hunter, and Hunter has looked every bit as good as he did in Minnesota for all those years.
Yeah, very much so. And you made the point that Kamari Lassiter is coming back for the Texans. He was my Rookie of the Year pick for this season. Having Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter as your two corners can be pretty shut down, and I think Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams are going to both not have a field day, but they're not necessarily going to struggle a ton, but it's going to be a decent paced game for both of those two. But we had mentioned no Stephon Diggs, no Nico Collins in this game, so I went and looked at how the Texans had done without Nico Collins last season, being that they didn't have Stephon Diggs last season, so we'd be kind of a equal look at their offense. I know Joe Mixon to Devin Singletary is a big difference, but last year the Texans went in the last 2 years, the Texans are 4-1 without Nico Collins with CJ Stroud. Last year, Nico Collins missed 2 games. One, CJ Stroud was the quarterback. The other, Case Keenum was the quarterback. So really only got to look at one with CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, and Dalton Schultz in the game. So that one was against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. CJ Stroud had 23 completions, 39 attempts, had over 350 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and did get an anytime touchdown. Tank Dell had 14 targets. Noah Brown, or 28 targets combined between Tank Dell, Noah Brown, and Dalton Schultz. Noah Brown, who caught the Hail Mary for the Commanders this past weekend. Just had to bring that one up again. But anyway, Tank Dell, 14 targets, 6 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown in that one game last year. Dalton Schultz, 6 targets, 4 catches, and 71 yards. Both of those, the not necessarily the yards, but the catches for both Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz would be overs in the case for tonight. Dalton Schultz would have gone over the yardage for tonight in that scenario. Tank Dell would not. Also looking at how the game broke down, they kind of forced those targets to Tank Dell last year, 14 targets, 4 yards per target. So they were forcing things, not getting more so allowing for yards after catch, but not pressing deep down the field with Tank Dell. So looking at his longest reception prop of 22.5, I don't like the over on that one. I would either stay off or look at the under if you want to.
These two teams met last year in December in the midst of the Jets' season falling apart, and the Jets throttled the Texans in the second half of that game. That was
CJ Stroud's worst game of his career.
One of the weirdest games of the NFL season a year ago. It was 0-0 at halftime. And then the Jets, as we know, vaunted offense of the New York Jets.
With Zach Wilson.
With Zach Wilson scored 30 in the second half of that game and winning 30-6. Stroud left with a concussion and then actually missed a few games after that. And then the Houston Texans were able to stabilize and still win.
That was that second instance of they went to Tennessee, and that was the game that Case Keenum started.
Yeah, so
no Nico Collins. So.
Look, it is. By the way, Brevin Jordan, was the leading receiver for Houston in that Jet game.
Another Gorman Gale, another kid from Vegas.
But look, this is a scenario here tonight, and you see some player props, and they are very skilled players on there. But Joe Mixon's rushing total is 83.5. So the Jet rushing defense has been a disaster for this year. It started off with week 1 where Jordan Mason ran all over him, and it has continued for the majority of this season. That is a very high number for Mixon. And you just don't see non-Derrick Henry, non-Jonathan Taylor guys have numbers in the 80s.
This is true.
But with the way that Stroud is, look, I don't want to say Stroud has struggled because I don't think that's fair to him. I think his offensive line has been poor in pass blocking, but they've been good in run blocking this year. And also, you're now without your 2 best wide receivers, arguably. So this should be a big game for Joe Mixon if Houston's going to win this game as a small underdog. By the way, the Jets, as we mentioned earlier, are favored in this game. 2-point favorites. By the way, my theory that the Squares people will be on Houston tonight got blown up by the biggest square in the entire world earlier in the day.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just throw that out there. I don't think I have to say more. I think we all know him. We know him. We love him. Whatever way you want to go with it. But look, this is probably a big Joe Mixon night, one way or another. Even at 83.5, I don't know how you can take an under. Sure, I guess so. But it's not going to be one. It's going to be one of those nights where it's just like, really, this is how I wanted to spend my Halloween night, sweating out an under on a guy who's going to probably get 25 carries tonight, leading the NFL in the games he's played. He's leading the NFL in touches per game. Yeah. Of course, he missed a few games due to injury. But this should be a big 20 and a half attempts, I think, is the definite over.
Yes.
Unless if the game flow just gets really screwy for Houston, which I just don't foresee happening in this one, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have to think about what the game script's going to be in this one. The Houston Texans average 65.4 plays per game.
Okay.
So CJ Stroud's pass attempts prop is 30 and a half, and then Joe Mixon's is 20 and a half. So that's 51 plays of their 64. So at least one of those is going to get over. I do think that Joe Mixon is going to have a field day today against this Jets defense. Joe Mixon has gone over his rushing yards, over on attempts in 3 of 5 this season. He got hurt in week 2, missed weeks 3 through 5, and then eased back in week 6. So losses in week 2 when he got hurt, losses in week 6 when they kind of eased him back into the script. But in 4 of the 5 games that he's played this year, he has over 100 rushing yards. So even with the less script in week 6, he went over his rushing yards. And the only time he lost was when he got hurt in week 2. So his rushing yards is at that 81.5, and then his total yards, so rushing plus receiving yards, is 110.5. He's still gone over those in 4 of the 5 games that he played this year, and the one loss was when he got hurt. So I think it is a big game for Joe Mixon, being that Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins are both out, as well as a big game for Dalton Schultz, who we've seen get a big uptick in this Texans offense with these 2 guys being out. Dalton Schultz does not have a game this season with 5 catches, 0 for 8. Last week was the first time he went over on his yardage. So when Stephon Diggs got hurt, CJ Stroud was looking for Dalton Schultz, and his longest reception prop is 18.5. That is one I do like. Going to your safety valve in your tight end, hopefully getting some yards after the catch. Over 18.5, longest reception for Dalton Schultz.
Looking at the Jets side of things, Ryan, obviously this year has been an absolute disaster by any way that you slice it. After the 2-1 start, where that Thursday night Aaron Rodgers looked like Aaron Rodgers, and I was like, oh boy, this actually might not have been nonsense hype for this team. It is just blown up. 5 straight losses in unlike Jet fashion. 4 of them have been by 1 score, which is a little bit surprising. Usually the Jets just get whipped if they lose. And that one non-1 score game, the Jets were up 15-6 with 3 minutes to go in the first half against Pittsburgh a few weeks ago. There you go. See all the L's in a row for the Jets. Last week was probably the cream of the crop for ridiculous losses, losing to arguably the NFL's worst team and giving them 25 points in the process. With that said, Ryan McCormick, the numbers telling you something here in this game, where Houston's 6-2, the Jets are 2-6, and the 2-6 team opened a favorite, has not only stayed a favorite, but has been bet up through the week because it opened 1, now it's 2. There was a small little move to Houston 1 earlier in the week, and then Diggs, we got the prognosis on Diggs that we knew his season was over, and then the number flipped for good. If we're looking at this from a Jet prop perspective, Aaron Rodgers has to be bet under his passing yards until further notice, and in the 230s here tonight, yet again. Again, I don't think this is a big passing game for New York tonight. I think if this is a game the Jets win, it's on the legs of Breece Hall, who has shown glimpses over the last few weeks of looking like old Breece Hall yet again. Jets have really struggled run blocking. They've been much better when getting the ball to the outside, and Hall has taken advantage of that over the last few weeks. 66.5 rushing yards would be a look at the over for me. And again, I just think the Jets, who have struggled so badly on the edges of their offensive line to pass block, their interior has been pretty solid, but Tyron Smith's been a disaster. This feels like this has got to be, if the Jets are going to win, kind of the same deal as Houston. This has got to be on the running back here tonight if they're going to win this game and get off the schneid and get win number 3 on the air.
Well, so then to that point, the 2 bell cows, you would think that this game would go under if you're going to rely on running the ball and running that clock out. And then just to put salt in the wound with the Patriots beating the Jets, That was the Patriots were the only team this year to win following playing in London.
Isn't that with the numbers though? Didn't we talk about that?
Well,
historically speaking, that good coming back from London, but this year only one of them.
Last year they went 5-0 coming back from London. This year they went 1-4.
Right. Yeah, because there's only 5 teams because Jacksonville played there twice. Jacksonville did cover last week, though, at least, even though they did not win against Green Bay. This is more than anything, Ryan. If we go to the anytime touchdown market here, you're laying a price with both of the running backs. If you want to throw them together, I don't really have an issue with that. I don't love the anytime touchdown same game parlays, but if you want to put those two guys together, I really don't have an issue with it tonight. After that, good luck. Good luck on this one. I'm going off the board completely here, Ryan. Someone ridiculous is scoring a touchdown tonight. On top of those two running backs. If you want to take a shot on Robert Woods, who I had to be reminded was in the league 2 weeks ago.
Bobby Trees.
Sure, why not? Plus 550 without the two wide receivers. It's going to be him, John Mechie, or Xavier Hutchinson. One of those three is going to have a big impact on the Houston offense.
Yeah.
I would just take the longest price, and that happens to be Woods. And then if you're looking at the Jets side of things, I'm going Jeremy Rucker at 14-1 at BetMGM.
I like that one.
Now, we missed on our big, ridiculous long shot last week, even though it was pretty funny. Smart did have a 32-yard reception in that game against the Cardinals 2 weeks ago. But look, this game really reeks of weirdness. I'm not just saying that because of Halloween. I don't know if there's a full moon or not. I don't think there is tonight. But again, you're talking about a 2-6 team favored against a 6-2 team.
Yeah,
and you just don't see that in this league, if often, if ever.
So I have.
Please tell us how often this has happened.
Tonight is the second instance in the last 35 seasons that a team with at least a 5-game losing streak has played a team with a win percentage over 700.
Okay,
can you tell me the one time?
I have no idea.
1995.
Yeah, I was thinking you weren't even on the planet.
I was not. In Week 8. The 1-5 New England Patriots hosted the 5-1 Buffalo Bills. Curtis Martin and Drew Bledsoe led the Patriots to a 27-14 win over Jim Kelly and Derek Thomas. So with that history,
there you go.
That would say Jets cover this one
with the one game sample size.
Yep.
That was that first year of Parcells? Yeah, that's the first year of Parcells in New England. So there you go.
Yeah.
Boy. I did bet the Jets earlier in the week on a better money line price. That's what I did. And if it goes wrong, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me more than twice. Well, then what are we doing here at this point with the New York Jets, who again are the biggest disappointment in the sport by a significant margin going into the year.
Yes, I would say going into the season, the Jets had very high expectations, and their offense has been a complete flop, but their defense has been what's carried them
not the
to
last
at least
few weeks.
be in this point. Yeah, not the rush defense, but so both offenses are in the bottom half of the league in yards per play and points per play. If you specify it by setting, so the Houston Texans on the road and the New York Jets at home, both offenses are bottom third of the league. But both defenses are top 3 in the league in yards per play. The Jets are the second best, and the Texans are tied for third at 4.8 yards per play. The Jets are the second best team in the NFL at home. The Texans, second best defense in the NFL at home. The Texans are the 10th best defense on the road. But in terms of points per play, the Jets are still the second best team in football on defense at home. The Texans are the 4th worst defense in football on the road. So in terms of points per play at 0.477.
Not good.
Yeah, not good at all. But I did want to kind of go back to the Jets props for this one. So Breece Hall has gone under his rushing total in 6 of the 8 games that he's played this season. 4-4 on the attempts, 4-4 on the receptions, and only has 1 touchdown during this 5-game losing streak. So if the Jets are going to end this losing streak, Breece Hall is going to have to find the end zone. So if you think the Jets are going to win this game, I have no problem taking the anytime touchdown for Breece Hall. Garrett Wilson is 5-3 to the under on his receptions and yards. 4 of those losses were by the hook. So he's right there at that 5-6 catches with Aaron Rodgers. Since Davante Adams has come to the Jets, he has yet to go over the receptions or yardage. So I would not be tempted to play anything on Davante Adams tonight, more so on the guys that have experience in the Jets offense with Aaron Rodgers.
And under on Rodgers' yardage, at least for me, it's the running backs. It's all about the running backs on the props. And Jeremy Ruckert. That's all it's all about here tonight in this one. And again, I'm on the Jets. Laying $1.20. I would not advocate laying $1.40. I'd much rather just lay the 2. And if the game lands 1, all right, well, so be it. Which the Jets are ridiculous enough for this game to land 21-20. Also, real quick, Jets-wise, Greg Zuerlein put on IR, which, okay, sure, whatever. Riley Patterson will kick for them tonight, which was the best of the options that they brought in for a tryout earlier this week. Patterson has had some success in the NFL. Jacksonville was really where he was most successful. He made the kick that actually sent the Jaguars to the second round of the playoffs 2 years ago in that ridiculous comeback against the Chargers. He's a guy I'm a little surprised that wasn't already one of the 32 kickers in the NFL. So Jets actually did okay, which probably means Patterson will miss 2 kicks tonight. So, and the other thing with that is the weather in East Rutherford is shocking tonight.
Yeah.
It is going to be 73 degrees at kick with only 8-mile-an-hour winds. That is very, very warm for this time of the year.
I would like to switch.
I wouldn't mind that either. Except we don't have wind right now, which is good because we'd really be in trouble if it was windy here. It's only 62 degrees here today in Las Vegas. So, hey, Jets 2-point favorites, though, in this one tonight. All right, real quick. I'm just going to throw this out there for you, Ryan.
Okay.
Because I talked about it this morning, and it just moved behind us in the college game. Charlotte is a 14.5-point underdog against Tulane. Make this very quick for you.
It did go to 14?
14.5.
Okay.
Still not 14. Still no bet for this game for you, correct?
Yeah, no actual play.
All right. We said this morning on Sports by the Book in the AM. If it gets to 14, it's a play on Tulane. If not, don't play it tonight in the college realm. All right. We're going to take
I do have a note on the total, though, just real quick.
Oh, please.
So Tulane, 3-1 against the spread on the road this season. 2 of their wins are by 8 points, so that wouldn't be a cover. Tulane is 4-0 to the over on the road this season. Charlotte is 1-3 against the spread at home this season. They are 2-2 to the total, but both of their most recent games at home both went over this total of 54.5. Tulane, 4 of their last 5 in general have gone over this total, and Charlotte has gone over this total in 3 straight games. So if anything, I do lean to the over in this one, just telling on the trends. So that is all I have for that game.
Tulane still very much alive in a playoff conversation. Yep. They win the AAC, get Boise to lose once. They very well could be going to the college football playoff here in year 1 of the 12-team system. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to look at our power rankings for the NFL, maybe a little more on this Thursday night game, and also a few games that are catching our eye going in to Saturday and Sunday in college and the NFL. That's next. Sports by the Book, Football Frenzy.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grandview Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grandview Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grandview Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie, Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book Football Frenzy. Jeff Parles, Ryan McCormick, happy to be with you as always on a Thursday, getting you ready for Week 9 in the NFL. And Ryan, it's Thursday. We already had our college power rankings on Monday. It's time for our Thursday edition, which is the National Football League power rankings. Sean, go right ahead. Throw them on up there. Good, sir. At least from my end. And I have a little bit of juggling, but I kept the same top 10. I just juggled them around this week. Pittsburgh almost gets in there, and realistically speaking, they're the only ones who almost moved in because I really don't know what to do with Atlanta. I don't know what to do with your Bears now either. There are a few teams that could have moved in that I decided against. Kansas City and Detroit are barely separated at this point. Yeah. And it is so close between what's the best unit between those two teams now, between Kansas City's defense and Detroit offense. Yeah. Now, the weird thing with Detroit's game last week, if you look at the box score last week,
yes,
and don't look at the score, look at just the stats first. Tennessee, if you said, all right, Tennessee outgained them by almost 200 yards. They were at 6 yards of play. Detroit was at 5 yards of play. You're like, whoa, Detroit really struggled in that game. Well, when Detroit has almost 400 yards of kickoff returns and Tennessee loses the turnover battle 4-0, so the Lions force 4 turnovers, let's say you get 52-14. Yeah. By the way, second half under was obviously the bet in that game because no one scored in the fourth quarter. Detroit plays the Packers in Green Bay this week. They do. And we're still not 100% certain if Jordan Love is going to play. We think he is. Jared Goff was practiced today, even though he was on the injury report as well. But Detroit's at 2. Keeping it with the list. Baltimore's at 3. I'm concerned about Jackson being on the injury report and not practicing 2 games now. I agree. 2 days in a row. And they're not playing a great defense if Jackson's banged up for that matchup. I think Baltimore's defense, this is finally the week that Baltimore's defense will look like Baltimore's old defense again against the Denver offense. I'm still not buying. Okay. But Denver's pass rush, as we talked about last week, those guys are good. Yep. Those guys are real good. And if Lamar's dinged up at all, makes it a lot harder of a matchup for Baltimore this week. Packers in at 4. Look, if Jordan Love's healthy, I don't see them moving outside of the top 5 the rest of the way. It's just their defense is vastly improved. I mean, look, Malik Willis played great when he had to come in over the weekend in that win against Jacksonville. They're at 4. Minnesota, we're going to learn a lot about the Vikings this weekend because I'm not going to hold a ton against them for losing a 1-score game to the Lions and losing, I guess I know they technically lost by 10, but they lost a 1-score game to a team in their house on a short week with as bad a travel as you could ask for on a short week. Minnesota, we're going to learn a ton about them against the Colts, who, again, I know Chris, Vinny, and I will talk about this tomorrow, going to Flacco this week over Anthony Richardson, and we might not see Anthony Richardson again this year, quite honestly. Philly moves up to 6. Ryan, we made fun of the early bye, but the early bye saved their season because they've looked like the team they were. I don't want to quite say the team that made the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but they've looked better these last few weeks after the bye than at any point a year ago, even with that 10-1 start. They've found it again. Offensively, defensively, Philadelphia up to 6. Buffalo goes to 7. I learned more about Seattle than I did Buffalo on Sunday. Okay. The Bills handled their business. Job well done. Seattle, not really a threat at all. Niners at 8. Let's see if they can get healthy. Let's see if they can go on a run. Houston and Washington are basically interchangeable at 9 and 10. I still have my questions with the Texans, especially now with Diggs out long term. And the Commanders, look, they should have won that game by. We got to hold two thoughts in our head. They should have won that game by 20 plus, but then they should have lost the game once they blew the lead.
Mm-hmm.
So very complicated. They also have the perfect matchup this weekend, going to the Meadowlands to take on the Giants, with the Giants on a short week, and the Giants, as we know, have been beyond awful at home this year. So great spot for Washington to get right, even off of a win, but look impressive again like they had before last week when the Bears, quite frankly, should have won the game.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it might be a little spiteful, but Washington did fall out of my top 10, but they're still at 11.
Hold on a second. Before Sean puts it up,
yeah, let's clarify.
Yeah, Green Bay, because Ryan
will never be in my top 10.
Ryan refuses to put Green Bay in his top 10. Is Green Bay actually 4 or 5 this week?
Green Bay is in between. Green Bay is level with Minnesota and Houston. So
okay, so Green Bay is either
between 5, 6, and 7.
Okay, so we'll put Green Bay at 6 then, technically for Ryan. Okay. But here's the list without Green Bay.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a surprise entrant at number 9.
Number 9, yes. But let me clarify. Number 1, the Detroit Lions are my best team in football because this offense is so much fun. You have running backs throwing touchdown passes. You have offensive linemen catching touchdown passes week in and week out. They are fearless in play calls. They run through your face, and teams that play against them lose the following week. We saw the Vikings lose to them, short week, go to LA, and lose to the Rams. Teams that play against the Vikings or Lions, 0-6 straight up, 0-6 against the spread the following week. So Patriots, you might get your third win this week against the Titans. But the Detroit Lions, my best team in football. The Kansas City Chiefs moved to number 2. I would like to see DeAndre Hopkins become more of a focal point in this offense. Getting Juju Smith-Schuster back healthy, Kareem Hunt now going on the injury report is a little concerning. But Baltimore Ravens stay at 3. The Bills stay at 4. The Vikings stay at 5 because of the point I just made with the Lions. Playing against them the week before, they looked okay against the Rams, but they also ran into a Rams team that was getting Cooper Kupp back, Puka Nacua back, and having the foursome of Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, and Puka Nacua. Those 4 together in the same game, the Rams are 7-2, and that is why they appear at 9 in my list, because 7-2 through this next week of football would be a top record in the NFL. So if you give them a full season with all 4 of those guys healthy, they are a top football team, regardless of Aaron Donald being on that defensive line. The Pittsburgh Steelers are at number 10 for me. They didn't necessarily handle their business the way they needed to against the Giants, or how they should have, in my mind, but moved down because the Rams moved above them, and the Commanders moved down. The Falcons weren't impressive. The Jets lost. So I have the Eagles at 7 as well. Sorry, I'm jumping all around here, but the Texans, Eagles, and 49ers also did not move. Really, the only big jump was the Rams into my top 10.
So the Rams, you know what, I should have put this on the list of games that we're going to look at, but the Rams play in a very interesting game this weekend in Seattle, where I was surprised of where that line came down. And it's not to say that I don't buy the Rams. It's been very simple with the Rams since getting Matthew Stafford. When Matthew Stafford's been healthy and they haven't had absurd injuries around him,
yes,
like they did earlier this year, they've been the quality of a good to great playoff team.
Yes.
Won the Super Bowl year 1 with them there. Last year, they take the Lions to the brink, losing by a point. And since Stafford has stayed upright, and last week was the first game since week 1 that they had all their guys back, and they look like a real threat in the NFC West. And the NFC West is such a ridiculous jumble at this point, where Arizona's technically in first place right now at 4-4. The Niners are at 4-4. The Seahawks are at 4-4, and the Rams are at 3-4. They just played one less game than everybody else. Rams are a 1.5 point favorite this week at Seattle, and I had it in my mind. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get the Rams probably as a 2.5 point underdog, 2 point underdog. I'm going to take a money line.
Better last week, you would have.
Yeah, I know I would have, but Seattle was awful in that game a week ago. But now I think it's completely unbettable, personally, at the 1.5. And look, I'm looking for arguments to bet the Rams and the Cardinals to win this division, and I think they're both there for both of those teams, honestly.
I think now is the time in to jump on the Rams if you do think the Rams end up winning that division. The Niners are struggling with health issues, and the Cardinals, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 just came out, so Kyler Murray not so confident in. So also double XP weekend, so the Bears might get their first road win on a Sunday since December 26th of 2021. Yeah, let me repeat that. The Bears have not won a game on a Sunday on the road since December 26th of 2021. Thank you, Matt Eberflus.
I would be so scared of what you just said if Sean just didn't say, yes, they will. The fact that Sean audibly said that scares me for you now. Real quick on Arizona and the Bears. So this is actually fun real quick. And then we know we're not taking ESPN's power index as gospel here. This Barnwell tweeted this out earlier in the week. The Bears have played the easiest schedule in the NFL so far this year.
Thanks.
They will now play the toughest remaining schedule in the NFL according to ESPN's power index.
Thanks.
The Cardinals have played the hardest schedule in the NFL through the first 8 weeks, and now they'll play the fourth easiest schedule the rest of the way.
Yep.
So, look, this game is a hard handicap for me because I was fully in my head. All right, especially when, sorry to bring it up again,
Go for it.
But when it's Chicago taking the lead that late in the game, I'm like, all right, this is great. I'm going to get the Cardinals probably as a small underdog in this game, even with them going to Miami and winning. Boy, it feels like a pretty good one and a pretty vicious.
Good comeback against Miami, too.
Pretty vicious back-to-back roadie for Chicago, too, going one end of the country now to the other end in 2 consecutive weeks. Yes, I know they stop, and Chicago is smack dab in the middle of the state. I get that, but
1 week apart,
it's still kind of hard. It's not a great back-to-back. But now it's one on Arizona. The Call of Duty thing shouldn't scare me, but it kind of does knowing Murray's history. But minus 120, I think, is okay on Arizona if you want to take a shot. And I still can't believe they haven't won a road game on the Bears. Haven't won a road game on a Sunday since 01 or 21. 21. It's not possible.
That's atrocious.
It's so bad.
Yeah, Thursday nights and Monday night.
Let's do this, Ryan. I want to bring up from the NFC North here because we already got the NFC North flavor, and we might as well just get the remaining 2 games with the NFC North teams in it before our guy Kaluch joins us in 5 minutes. Lions in Green Bay to take on the Packers. We still don't know exactly what Jordan Love's going to be able to produce in this game, and it's 2.5 now, and this was as high as 5 because there was the thought that Love's just not going to play at all.
Yep.
Love was at practice today, looked good enough. You have to assume he's going to play at this point. My concern now, A, if you like Green Bay, you missed the best of it. It's hard. It is obviously a different handicap now looking like Love is going to play. But B, this kind of reminds me of what happened in that Minnesota game where Green Bay got bet and Minnesota really put it on Green Bay until they stopped playing in that game. I don't care about the indoor-outdoor split for Detroit. I really don't at this point. The Lions, this group has gone to Green Bay and won the last 2 years.
Do you know what the weather's looking like?
I am looking that up to confirm what I have in my notes, and it is going to rain. That is the biggest thing. So, look, we know Jared Goff historically is not good in sub 60 degrees. We know that. But I'm not really that concerned about it this go around. I also think the Lions defense is way better this year than it's been in past few years. That's not really a hot take at all, but that's at least something to keep in mind going into this game.
Yeah, no, the indoor-outdoor splits for Jared Goff, again, like Jeff said, I don't personally care about either in this one because Jared Goff hasn't had to be anything more than a game manager for the Lions this year because they just run behind their offensive line, feed Jahmyr Gibbs, and feed David Montgomery. The Lions have more touchdowns, offensive touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. Only team in the last 60 years to have more offensive touchdowns, 24 of them, than incompletions, 20 in a 6-game span. more touchdowns than incompletions. So Jared Goff is not being forced to make throws, being forced to put the Lions on his own back. It's all running behind that offensive line and behind these two running backs. I like the Lions in this one for the same reason that Jeff said. If we watch the Vikings go into Green Bay earlier this year, own them in the first half, and then kind of quit in the second half, the Lions do not quit with Dan Campbell. They are going to beat out of Green Bay this weekend.
That's a nice way to put the word we don't want to say on the air. I like that. That was good. That was good. I'm waiting until I see what exactly I'm getting out of Love. This feels like an in-game scenario where I actually took a boatload of points with Green Bay in-game against Minnesota. Didn't even have to sweat that when it was all said and done. But at this current number, even with the concerns about Goff and in cold, slippery weather, I think this is Detroit really puts the hammer down. And goes from there. All right. Let's look at one more here before we bring Kaluch in. The Minnesota Vikings and the Indianapolis Colts are playing on Sunday Night Football this week. This is a flex game. This has been moved. This was moved. They moved Philly and Jacksonville out.
Why move this game in?
Why not?
Why not put the Packer-Lion game? Because you don't want to go to Lambeau at night in the rain?
Protected by Fox. That's
This is not a prime time. This is just as good as Steelers Giants.
Look, this is I don't agree with you on that. I think there's a few things in this game. Before we go on the Minnesota side of things, I just have to bring this up with Indy.
Okay.
Where they make the move to Flacco, and it sure as hell seems like it's a permanent move for this year.
Yep.
Unless if they fall out of it. And look, the AFC is much weaker than I think anyone thought it was going to be. The AFC East behind Buffalo is a train wreck. The Bengals are basically on the brink already as well.
Yep.
The AFC West teams, even though the Chargers and the Broncos have chances to make the playoffs, both of their schedules really get more difficult down the stretch. Chargers are still dealing with a boatload of injuries. I want to see Denver's defense get tested against better offenses the next few weeks. So that leaves Indianapolis right now, who's currently sitting at 4-4. They're a half game out of the playoffs. They're just behind the Chargers, who played one less game, who currently hold the 7 seed right now in the AFC. So you're making the move to Flacco because you're in the race. Now, I think this is very short-sighted of Indianapolis, because what's your peak this year with Flacco at the quarterback? You go 10-7.
You make the playoffs.
You go 10-7. You get the 6 or the 7 seed, and you get boat raced by Baltimore or Buffalo in round 1.
Yep.
Is that worth stunting the development of your project quarterback, which we all knew he was a project when he got drafted? We all knew it. He play less than 10 games in Florida, and you risk ruining this kid's confidence. Now, look, if you look at the numbers, I get it. You look at the quote after the game when he said, "Why did you take yourself out of the game?" Oh, I was tired. All right, I get it. But from a long-term, hey, we have to figure out if Anthony Richardson can be our franchise quarterback moving forward, I think this is an extraordinarily short-sighted, short-term move that has potential really bad past 2024 ramifications for this franchise. And that goes for Ballard, the GM. That goes for Steichen, the head coach. We're all right, maybe they keep their jobs into 2025, but you're asking for problems 25 and beyond at this point.
I'm going to make the case that it's okay for right now.
Sure.
Because you play the Vikings and a Brian Flores defense this week. You play the Buffalo Bills next week.
Yeah.
You play the Jets the week after, and then you host the Lions.
Yeah, it's a pretty awful stretch.
Good luck for any quarterback in that stretch. But Anthony Richardson not performing well at all this entire season would perform even worse and probably ruin his confidence even more if you have to go against those opponents. So allowing Joe Flacco to come in and show you what you're supposed to look like on film, that could be a great coaching point for Shane Steichen. So that's the only reason why I think it would be okay to go to Joe Flacco, is that you're going to be able to see how your offense is supposed to be run and how not quitting on your team is going to look. But again, Joe Flacco is at the end of his career, and not to put it out there, but we could see Anthony Richardson next week.
Well, if Flacco, obviously, if something happened to Flacco, we'd see Richardson right away. He's still listed as the backup. It's not like what other teams have done. Made Young the number three for a little bit.
Cleveland having
Cleveland
Dorian and then having Jameis as the emergency.
That was stupid in its own right. But look, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. By the way, it's 5.5 on Minnesota on this game, and I like the Vikings personally in this one. And I know the market likes Flacco better than Richardson. I don't think it matters who's at quarterback. I think Indy's offense is going to struggle to block that defense, and this is the right defense to get Sam Darnold back on the right track. Indy's defense is not good at all. Bottom tier, and a bottom tier coordinator in Gus Bradley at this rate. All right, we'll take a 1-minute break. When we get back, Dwayne Colucci joins us next. We'll ask him about tonight's game and plenty more when we get back on Sports by the Book Football Frenzy.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book Football Frenzy. Jeff Parles, Ryan McCormick. Ryan, before we bring Dwayne in, of course, we got an active chat box yet again.
Yeah, we've got Vince Las Vegas thinking the Texans are going to make it work. We've got Jerry Trevino going all caveman. Jets bad. We've got Roger Long with a Teaserville. Texans +8 and the under 49. Sean on my side, Green Bay sucks. And then Top MF has the Jets -2 in the Jets first half.
All right, well, let's bring him in. Resident New Yorker himself, our good friend up at the Rampart, runs the Race and Sports Book up in lovely Summerlin. Our good friend Dwayne Colucci. Colucci. Oh wow! Everyone involved tonight. Very good, very good. Love it. A team effort here. So Dwayne, let's just go to tonight. Look, this is a 2-6 team in the New York Jets that have everything that could go wrong has gone wrong in the last 5 weeks. And here they are facing a 6-2 Houston team that is banged up, but the Jets are favored here as a 2-point favorite. And this has been pretty steady over the last few days that this has been at 2, Dwayne.
Yeah, Jeff, this is like in my opinion, the luckiest 6-2 team in the NFL. So, I could understand why people are betting the Jets, especially without Diggs and Nico. That is huge. I mean, and I'm telling you right now, I have CJ on my fantasy team. He cannot do it by himself. So the Jets definitely have a chance to win this game. I've watched him. He gets happy feet in the pocket. He doesn't run, effectively, in my opinion. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on Houston in this game. And I definitely think that the Jets have a chance, but we are seeing Houston backers here at the Rampart and South Point. Ticket count is almost 2-1 on Houston, and the money is starting to get up there. So eventually you might see this get reined back in to 1.5 or 1, but these are dead numbers, in my opinion. I think the Jets definitely have to eventually win a game, Jeff. I mean, you're a Jet fan. This has been an utter disappointment, an implosion. And now you have great wide receivers, a good running back, Aaron Rodgers, and you just can't do anything. Defensively is another story, but this offense definitely has a lot of talent, and it's just perplexing how they cannot win games. So, they got rid of Saleh. We knew that was coming. I'm just shocked that the Jets are at 2-6 at this point of the season. Not that they'd be dominating the NFC East, but at least competing. And now it seems like the clubhouse may be lost and in disarray. So, this is a game where I'd probably lay off if I had a bet on it, guys.
Yeah, I'll just say this. First off, did you drink your cayenne water today, Ryan?
No,
did not. No,
that might be why I'm not feeling too good.
But no, look, it's been this has been again, the Jets have the longest postseason drought in North American sports right now. 2010 was the last time they were there, and it's been 14 years, and this is the worst one of all because of the expectations. And Rodgers made it through 4 snaps this go around, unlike last year, and here they are as a disgrace so far through 8 games. But I'm with you, Dwayne, on the Houston point, where I like the Texans going into the year, but hey, look, they're winning games, but you see, kind of like last year's Eagles, where the cracks were there, and once those cracks break too much, it could be a real issue for the Texans here.
Yeah, like in Superman, when Hoover Dam starts to crack, it explodes. And this could definitely happen to the Texans. These guys are so important to CJ. Nico Collins has become one of the top wide receivers in the game. So now you got him, Diggs out for the season. They have to make up for it somehow. And it's going to be tough for them to move the ball. I think this is a good focal point for the Jets to get this defense maybe on the right track. And if Rodgers could start to exploit, get the ball to Garrett Wilson. Wilson is looking like he's improving each and every week. Definitely it's going to be tough on Houston. And I totally agree. I loved Houston coming into this season, but who didn't, Jeff? Usually I'm a year off on the teams that I think are going to win the Super Bowl or go into the playoffs and make a strong point. And this could be the point with Houston, because I thought Houston was definitely a championship caliber team and could push the Chiefs to the brink. But obviously this is not going to happen. The Chiefs look like they're running the table. Buffalo actually looks better than they have in the past couple of years. So you have Josh Allen riding a high emotional wave. The Ravens, they'll find themselves. Don't get me wrong. That was a terrible loss, but Jameis could do that to you. I heard you guys talking in the segue. Jameis Winston being an emergency quarterback is just ridiculous. I mean, he has to start if Deshaun Watson is hurt, and you saw that come to fruition last week, and he is just a fantasy superstar, as I've seen so many people that are out there on the tweets and on social media. So, there's a lot of football to be played. Not that the Jets, could get into the playoff picture, but anything is possible because you're seeing the Ravens lose games. I think Houston is susceptible. Outside of the Chiefs, there is not a monstrous team, in my opinion, playing in the AFC right now. So there's definitely opportunities for all the teams that, are, sub 500, but you have to get back into it real quick. And losing a game like this tonight would destroy the Jets for the remainder of the season and possibly, put Aaron Rodgers into retirement.
Dwayne, I want to ask you about a trend that I've kind of found the last couple of weeks. So road teams' first half money line in the last 3 weeks is 28, 12, and 5. And for the season, it's 63, 54, and 7. Have you seen much action on road teams in the first half, at least in this one?
Yeah, these guys, the Sharps, Ryan, are going to pick up on any trend that you could put out there. I mean, there's so many different trends. Definitely the Tomlin trend came into play with the Steelers on Monday night in this past week, and that winning. So, these guys definitely jump on it. First half is definitely the way to go. And, we do see it at the Rampart and the South Point. Any Sharp is going to pick up on these trends. And there's so many different trends, guys, out there. But they don't always play out. You have to keep that in mind. And especially now you have the Jets in a good position at MetLife Stadium. Maybe if they throw a few interceptions and fumble the ball. But tonight I could see the opposite happening and the Jets getting out to a big lead really quick.
I could see it as well.
We'll find a way to make it interesting.
Hey, I mean, it is.
That, bro.
Yeah.
That, Jeff. I should say.
Dwayne, I want to move to college real quick because we haven't mentioned what is far and away the biggest game of this weekend, and of course it's at the bottom of the rotation numbers for this week.
Right.
And that is the showdown in State College, undefeated Penn State against one-loss Ohio State. The winner of this game will be on the inside track to the Big Ten title game, and more likely than not, both of these teams will probably go to the college football playoff, but the winner basically can punch their ticket already. The question all the week was, are we going to see Drew Aller? Is he going to be close to 100%? It looks like Aller is going to go, and the number's telling you this, from 4 to 3, and this total's taken a wild ride, but it hasn't moved. With all the movement, hasn't changed from what it opened the week at 47, Dwayne.
Well, that's speculation on Aller and all that going on. You know, you have to speculate and you have to watch the health report. And you've seen the game move as well. Now it's down to 3. Ohio State is 3. I'm looking at it right now. Ticket count is real tight, and we're actually taking more Penn State money. So, you know, this is an interesting game. I think Ohio State is the better team, but let's see how this game plays out. Laying 3 in Penn State, you saw what Penn State was able to do when they traveled all the way out here to the West Coast. So they're pretty solid right now, top 3 team in the country, but I think this is Ohio State's measuring stick. You can't keep falling behind. Indiana's still out there. You have a lot of good teams that are still out there in Georgia, Texas, even though Georgia hammered them. It's going to be tough to gauge who is going to make this playoff and who is not. This is a focal game on the schedule for both teams. I do believe Ohio State will come out on top. I mean, we had that Texas A&M last week. I told you guys LSU was a total phony. They got destroyed. So, I think maybe Penn State comes back down to reality this week and Ohio State gets it going.
Yeah, I mean, we know the trends for both of these sides. James Franklin not being good, Ryan Day not being good against top 5 teams. So for this one, have you guys seen the way for Oregon to not make the Big Ten Conference Championship game? So if Penn
I have not.
Penn State beats Ohio State in this one, Indiana plays Ohio State later this year, so Indiana would then have to beat Ohio State. The tiebreaker, being that Penn State and Indiana don't play Oregon as well, would be the head-to-head against Ohio State. Oregon only won by 1 point. So if Penn State and Indiana beat Ohio State by more than 1 point, it would be Penn State, Indiana in the conference championship instead of an undefeated Oregon.
And a partridge in a pear tree on that one.
It's a mind-boggling situation.
It would be insane that an undefeated team isn't in a conference championship.
That's crazy. It's in play in the ACC right now. It's not in play in the Big 12 because, it's for conference play it technically is, but you could have a situation where BYU gets left out in the cold. Kansas State. There's still some situations on that.
Don't you love all this conference realignment and all this structuring to where you just put all these mediocre teams or mid-range colleges, not mediocre teams, but they're on the outside looking in, just like you said, Jeff. You could have undefeated teams that just have no chance because of this realignment and this playoff structure. And it is somewhat embarrassing to college football, in my opinion. Just like Ryan said, how could you have an undefeated team not in the conference championship? I mean, come on. What are you doing here? I mean, it just, after a while, it gets to where college football is outthinking itself.
You know what? I'm going to say something that will probably make both of you aggravated. If I'm Oregon and I'm 12-0 and I missed the Big Ten Conference Championship game, I'm thrilled.
I'll go back to the Pac-12.
I'll take the bye week.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. You know why I'm thrilled? I don't have to play an extra game. Yeah. I get a home game as the 5 seed. And, all right, probably a rematch with Genti doesn't sound a lot of fun, but you know what? We'll get that. And then you'll play the Big 12 champion and be a touchdown favorite against them in Phoenix. There are worse things to be than that if I'm Oregon at that point. Because I can tell you, if Penn State beats Indiana in that circumstance you brought up, Indiana's not being the 5 seed. I can tell you that right now. All right, Dwayne, I do want to ask you, though, real quick on everything, because I have to bring it up because we're contractually obligated. This thing in my hand, Dwayne, the $25,000 jackpot parlay card, which is now 1 month away on the 30th of November, that last Saturday of the college football season. Chris and company come up with great ideas, Dwayne, and this is yet another great one. $5 a card, $25,000 guaranteed, and I don't know for certain, but I would be surprised if it's not more than $25,000 when it's all said and done.
100%.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this is a brilliant, brilliant promotion by Chris Andrews, Vinny Magliulo, and Jimmy. It's amazing how much handle we are garnering on this. And you take away the total, because on the bowl card, we used to have a total mixed in there, but now you don't have that. No point spread, unlimited cards. You could bet as many as you want. Clog my window for as long as you want. $5 a shot, $25,000. Rampart and South Point, 2 properties over in Mesquite. Just unbelievable promotion. And, we do this for the first couple of rounds of the tournament, opening week of the NFL. It's so much fun. And we have guys that just come here, Jeff, and early in the morning, thank God, and not on Saturday and Sunday, but they come with stacks of cards. And then they come the next day and there's a stack more and another stack. So this is definitely going to get over 25,000. We have our racks filled with them. Come to the Rampart or the South Point. Bet this jackpot card. Like I said, only $5, $5, no point spread. Rivalry week, like you said, at the end of the month, just off the hook. We're looking for tremendous handle on this and get the word out. I mean, take some, give them to your friends. It's so much fun, especially when there's no point spread and you could actually pick on your favorite teams. Sometimes we have ladies that just love to pick on the names and they pick the names and get lucky. So anything is possible when you're dealing with this jackpot card. Great promotion. And thanks for bringing that up, Jeff. It's just phenomenal.
All right, Dwayne, I do want to ask you about the other ranked versus ranked matchup this weekend, 18 versus 20, Pitt at SMU. Pitt scored 3 pick sixes last week against Syracuse. What are you seeing in this one?
Yeah, their defense is solid, but this is SMU now. It's a different type of animal. We're laying 7.5 with SMU, but Pittsburgh is very capable. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Syracuse, they beat the Rebels, so Syracuse was playing pretty well up until that point, and I think they definitely, as a dog, they're actually the lower seeded team. They're ranked 18. SMU is 20, as you could see on the graphic, but this is a tough one. I would probably lay off it. We're getting some good two-way action thus far, looking at this game right now. But I would probably lay off it. If anything, I would take Pittsburgh, but an excellent matchup. And the only other rankings, like you said, we're ranking matchup this week. Total is currently at 57 at the Rampart and South Point. So, we're going to have a lot of teasers and parlays hooked to this game, as well as the Penn State-Ohio State matchup. So, the college football slate last week was just off the hook. It was incredible. Comes back down to earth this week. We have a lot of tough NFL games, guys. So keep your eye on that NFL slate. A lot of games that are important for some of these teams. And, moving forward, we're going to see how this plays out. But great game in SMU and Pitt. If I was forced, I would take the points, but not a game I would be putting too much money on.
Eli Holstein is cleared to play. That's the big news in this one. We weren't certain about that after suffering a head injury against Syracuse. And then Narduzzi ran no huddle with the backup quarterback, trying to get more points on the board at the end. But that's a different discussion for a different time. All right,
you love when they rub it in. You love it.
Narduzzi has acted like a 2-syllable word that I can't say on the air here.
Have you seen the Virginia Tech grounds crew Twitter? So when Pitt played at Virginia Tech, left the locker room trashed.
Sounds right.
So Virginia Tech took a picture, posted on Twitter, and now every week they thank teams for cleaning up after themselves in spite of Narduzzi not doing it.
Great.
Even Trump brought a garbage truck, right? Virginia Tech, right.
We could.
Come on, Jeff, loosen up a little. Hey. Come on, what are you doing?
Dude,
asking for a Breeders' Cup pick here. Come on,
dude.
Well, we do have someone in the chat.
We just got 5 days until the commercials are off my television. That's all I gotta say.
I stopped getting texts too.
You just actually led me into it though, because I was going to ask you before you left. Breeders' Cup this weekend. The specials on the South Point studio page. I don't want you to give away the farm. But I want, if you have one for our audience here, Dwayne, what do you? Oh boy,
oh man,
yeah. 8,000
paperwork,
8,000 pages of horse stuff. What's one that you're looking at though for this weekend out in California?
Well, I'll give you. I'm not going to give you the classic because Chris, Vinny, and myself all gave out Sierra Leone in there. So I'm going to go with the 5th race, the Turf Sprint. I like 2 California horses, Motorius and AG Bullet. Make an exacta box, put a few bucks to win on these two horses. They're really going to run well. Both have won over the Del Mar turf course. This is a 5-furlong sprint. Your money and action will be determined in 56 seconds or less, and it's just a fabulous race. Motorius is trained by the great Phil D'Amato. He's one of the top conditioners in Southern California. AG Bullet is trained by Richard Baltus, another top conditioner in Southern California. Let's make an exacta box. That's on Saturday, race 5, the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. And if you want to throw in another horse to make a trifecta box, do 259. Throw in Cogburn and Irad Ortiz. You know how I feel about Irad. He's the best rider in the country. But this horse is going to be too short of a price for us to take. We need to make some money, guys. So definitely 2 and 5 on top in that race. Race 5 Saturday, the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
Well, I will just throw this out there for everyone. I will not be betting on Sierra Leone this weekend. So
that's good news for us.
So that is the greatest thing that could possibly happen for everyone on Sierra Leone in the Classic this weekend. Just throwing that out there. Because if I bet Sierra Leone, guaranteed second. Guaranteed. And if I bet either show or place bets, Dwayne, he'd finish out of the top 3. We know that for sure. Finish fourth. You know that. Oh, man. You can find Dwayne up at the Rampart on the Tweets at NYBookie, Dwayne. Of course, that Breeders' Cup special available now on South Point Studio, YouTube. Go check it out. Ralph was there. Vinny was there. Chris was there. Dwayne was there. John Lindo was there. It was a heck of a time previewing the Breeders' Classic. And all the races at the Breeders' Cup coming up this weekend. Dwayne, pleasure as always. We'll see you again next Thursday.
Jeff, Ryan, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And how about them Dodgers? I mean, come on. They beat both the New York teams. I know you're holding your head there, Jeff, but the Mets looked a lot better than the Yankees, I'll tell you that.
Look, Dwayne, we are entering an era where the National League is going to be the superior league, and it's going to be a while, and you guys have the odds up. Dodgers are 4-1 to win it all next year already, and Juan Soto's on the market, and I really hope he does not end up in L.A. That's all I'll say.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm a Dodger fan, Jeff. I don't want him there. I mean, we have plenty. Think about how many pitches were on the DL for the Dodgers. Yeah. And if they had that full pitching and, Ohtani's shoulder wasn't hurt and Freeman's ankle, that could have been a serious – I mean, they won the World Series, but it could have been a total catastrophe for the rest of the National League and the American League. So I don't think that we really need Juan Soto.
I don't think they do either. I don't think he'll go there. I still think he's playing for one of the New York teams next year. Just a matter of which one.
It'd be nice to see him on the Mets. It would be nice because the Mets are going good. And the Cubs, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
Where's Caleb Williams? Where's Caleb?
Should have been the rookie of the year.
How was that, Ryan? You didn't want to talk about the Bears game last week where costed the book like a ton of money because
it got me money.
We're gonna.
Little do you know,
I imagine so, money. But. You guys want to start playing with the crowd and all that? That was ridiculous. Oh, my God.
Yeah, sure was. DC, thanks, buddy. We'll see you next Thursday.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, that's all the time we got today. Orion, sorry we had to make you relive that again.
It's fine.
But we're back tomorrow on this show. Kenny White's here at 9 previewing the weekend, and then the show we all wait for all week. Chris, Vinny, Jimmy, 2 o'clock right here. Football Frenzy getting you ready for 2 hours for the whole college football and NFL weekends. The whole crew's here. Jerry, Sean, Vince, and Drew Dog, wherever you may be as well. Always great job back there. Ryan, awesome job. We're back, you and I, on Monday, as always, previewing Monday Night Football.
Can I give one final Halloween note? My Rodgers note that I told you at lunch?
Go for it.
So Aaron Rodgers has played one game in his career on Halloween. It happened to be in 2010 when the Jets last made the playoffs.
Yep.
That one game that Aaron Rodgers played on Halloween was in what was it at that time?
At that point,
before
it was
MetLife. It was New Rutherford?
No, it was just Meadowlands Stadium, I think, at that point.
New Meadowlands.
That first year in 2010.
9-0.
Yes, that was during the stretch where until the Jets lost to the Bears, actually, that year, late in the season, all of the Jets' losses were games they did not score touchdowns in. Their first 4 losses of the year that year. That one was especially ridiculous because 9-0.
9-0.
The Packers beat the Jets that day on a blustery Halloween day. I did not even realize it was Halloween. I just thought it was a late October day, more so than anything. So that's the only time Rodgers has played. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet on Halloween, though. So there you go. All right, we'll see you again tomorrow. Sports by the Book right here at the South Point Studio.